Have you ever wondered if your takeout packaging substrate is the right choice for the food that you serve in your operation? Let's talk about it. It's coming up next on another edition of Nexus-Now. Hi, I'm Chris Matson, and on today's Nexus-Now episode, I'm going to talk about the world of food service disposable packaging substrates. If you work in food service, you know there are a lot of different options to choose from to package up food to go. For example, there are 7 different grades of plastic. There are 8 different types of bio-compostable substrates, and then there are other substrates too, like aluminum foil, coated and treated paper, corrugated board, and laminated paperboard. Choosing the right food service substrate for catering jobs, for takeout packaging, for retail products, and even for in-store dining is important because it can save your operation money, and it also ensures proper functionality in a food application, which makes your customers happy. Let's break it down. To start off, let's identify in more detail precisely what all of these substrates are so that it's easier to make a decision about which disposables are best for you. Let's first take a closer look at the 7 different grades of plastic. As you can see on this chart, each of the 7 grades of plastic are ranked in their common recycling order. In other words, the lower the number, the more that grade of plastic is recycled. Let's start at the top. Number 1, polyethylene terephthalate, or PET. Also in the number 1 category is CPET, which is crystallized polyethylene terephthalate. Number 2 is high-density polyethylene, or HDPE. Number 3 is polyvinyl chloride, or PVC. Number 4 is low-density polyethylene, or LDPE. Number 5 is polypropylene, or PP. Number 6 is oriented polystyrene and expanded polystyrene, or OPS and EPS. And number 7 is all other blended plastic materials. As you can see, there are a lot of different grades of plastic on this chart. We're only going to talk about select grades of these plastics that are the most common in food service disposables. Polyethylene terephthalate, or PET, is used a lot to manufacture food service disposables. The reason is because it offers high clarity, is reasonably priced, and can be easily thermoformed into a variety of food service products like cups, catering bowls, trays, and clamshells. Here are the pros and cons of PET. Here are the pros for PET. Number 1, it's highly recyclable. Number 2, high clarity. Number 3, reasonably priced. Number 4, has memory when bent and does not crack easily. Number 5, it's a very strong resin. Here are the cons to PET. Number 1, sensitive to heat. Number 2, sensitive to freezer conditions. And number 3, sensitive to acidic foods, primarily in sauces. PET is best used in the following food applications: cold food, warm food, and drinks and cold condiments. There are 2 other grades of PET used in food applications, which are rPET and CPET. rPET is recycled polyethylene terephthalate and is also best used in the same applications as PET: cold food, warm food, and drinks and cold condiments. CPET is crystallized PET and is best used in these food applications: frozen food and hot food, ovenable up to about 400 degrees. Since high-density polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, and low-density polyethylene are all plastic resins that are not commonly used to make a variety of food service disposable products, let's skip to number 5, which is polypropylene. Polypropylene is also a plastic resin that is used a lot to manufacture food service disposables. The reason is because it offers warm heat tolerance, is reasonably priced, and can be easily thermoformed or injection molded into a variety of food service products, like containers or trays, lids, cups, cutlery, and clamshells. Here are the pros and cons of polypro. Here are the pros to polypropylene. Number 1, warm heat tolerant up to 265 in a microwave. Number 2, reasonably priced. Number 3, has memory when bent, does not crack easily. Number 4, it's a very strong resin. Number 5, it can be easily thermoformed or injection molded into a variety of food service products. Here are the cons to polypropylene. Number 1, it's sensitive to high heat above 265 degrees. Number 2, it's sensitive to freezer conditions. It will crack. Number 3, it's not as recyclable as number 1, PET. Polypropylene is best used in the following food applications: warm food, up to about 265 degrees, drinks and sauces, and eating food, primarily used as cutlery. The last key grade of plastic that is used to make food service disposables is polystyrene, or OPS. Oriented polystyrene is also a plastic resin that is used to manufacture food service disposables. The reason is because it offers a reasonable price and it can be easily thermoformed or injection molded into a variety of food service products like container trays, lids, cups, cutlery, and clamshells. Here are the pros and cons of OPS. Here are the pros to polystyrene. Number 1, it's reasonably priced. Number 2, it has good clarity. Number 3, it can be easily thermoformed or injection molded into a variety of food service products. Here are the cons to polystyrene. Number 1, it's sensitive to heat above 265 degrees. Number 2, sensitive to freezer conditions. Number 3, not as recyclable as PET. Number 4, it does crack easy. And number 5, it's not as clear as, let's say, PET either. Oriented polystyrene, or OPS, is best used in the following food applications: cold food, drinks and sauces, and eating food, let's say if it's made of cutlery. If you blow air into polystyrene, you get EPS, or expanded polystyrene. It's also known as foam. Here are the pros to expanded polystyrene. Number 1, it's economically low priced. Number 2, it's very insulating and it's kind of a spongy substrate. Number 3, it can be easily converted into a variety of food service products. Here are the cons to expanded polystyrene. Number 1, sensitive to high heat above 200. Number 2, sensitive to freezer conditions. Number 3, not as recyclable as PET. Number 4, it cracks easy. And 5, you cannot see into it. The clarity is not great. Expanded polystyrene is best used in the following applications: cold food, hot food, but only up to about 200 degrees, and drinks and sauces. The next group of food service disposables is a variety of grades of bio-compostable green substrates used to make food service disposables. Let's take a look. As you can see on the chart, each type of green substrate has its own performance capabilities. Most of the substrates can handle hot, warm, and cold food applications. However, as shown on the grid, they do differ in a variety of ways, as some of these biosubstrates are sensitive to a microwave or an oven or even a freezer. However, almost all of these substrates are either compostable or recyclable, and all of them stem from a green raw material. The first one up on the grid is PLA, or polylactic acid, which is actually cornstarch that's been converted into a resin that you can make packaging out of. It's really quite remarkable, and it is a compostable substrate. The second biosubstrate on the grid is potato resin, but actually you can use a variety of different starches out of different vegetables to create the same compound. This is also a compostable substrate. The third substrate up on the grid is Matter B, which is an organic corn resin that comes from Italy. The reason it comes from Italy is Italy grows organic corn. It's also 100% compostable. The fourth biosubstrate up on the grid is a fibrous board, which is a blend of usually different types of grains or wheatgrasses. Most of the biosubstrates come from Asia. A lot of it is what's known as bagasse, which is sugarcane reed stock. Again, all of these different grades are 100% compostable. The fifth biosubstrate is paperboard or linerboard. A lot of times they'll use paperboard in manufacturing to create clamshells or boxes. these are typically 100% compostable as well. The sixth bio-compostable substrate up on the chart is molded fiber, which is typically made out of recycled newspaper. The seventh bio-compostable substrate up on the chart is CPLA, or crystallized polylactic acid. This resin is crystallized so that it can withstand more heat, and it is also 100% compostable. And the eighth and final bio-compostable substrate is bamboo. Bamboo has a long fiber, and so it needs a lot more time in a commercial compost facility, but it is also technically compostable as long as you give it that extra period of time to break down. A great substrate, very durable. There are also two other new biosubstrates that are 100% compostable that were not listed on our green list. The first one is PHB, or polyhydroxybutyrate, which is a biodegradable polymer that is produced by bacteria and through science can be converted into a bioresin. This process is so new, the cost is still relatively high to create food service disposable products, but products are starting to surface in the market like compostable straws made from PHB resin. The second biosubstrate that is relatively new is palm leaves from the jungles in Asia. Fallen palm leaves are picked up off of the ground and taken back to factories where they are steam cleaned, sterilized, reheated, and shaped into plates, bowls, and containers. Since there is nothing added to the leaves, this substrate is also 100% compostable. Paper, corrugated board, and laminated paperboard are another category of food service substrates. Let's take a look. First up is virgin bleached kraft, virgin unbleached kraft, recycled bleached kraft, recycled unbleached kraft, grease-resistant paper, dry waxed paper, polylaminated paper, moisture-resistant paper, polylaminated paperboard, clay-coated kraft, PLA-lined paperboard. As you can see on the chart, there are a number of different grades of paper used by manufacturers to make a variety of food service packaging disposable products. Paper is a very interesting substrate because of the possibilities that it can be converted into as a finished product. Here are the pros to paper, corrugated, and paperboard. It's perceived as a very green substrate. Flexibility in the manufacturing process, easily customizable in size, shape, and can easily be printed. It's cost-effective and in most food service applications. Here are the cons to paper, corrugated, and paperboard. It can tear easily, has a large carbon footprint in the manufacturing process, and when it's treated, laminated, or coated paper, it's not recyclable or even compostable anymore. Paper, corrugated, and paperboard is best used in the following applications: hot, warm, or cold food, hot or cold food or drinks, and it's very insulating for foods like pizza when you use a corrugated box. A common question often asked in the food industry is, what is the difference between grease-resistant and dry wax sandwich wrap paper, and what is their appropriate food application? Grease-resistant treated sandwich wrap paper is typically a virgin 20-pound sheet treated with a biosafe additive that allows grease, oils, and sugars to soak into the paper, but not through it. Dry wax treated sandwich wrap style paper is typically an 18-pound virgin sheet, but it has been coated with wax that is then baked into the paper fibers, hence the term dry wax. Food or juices from food will then bead off of the paper and not soak in. Grease-resistant paper is typically used for juicy food applications, and dry wax treated paper is typically used for food applications where the wrap can be used as a barrier to outside air or moisture in order to extend freshness. The last group of food service substrates is aluminum foil. Aluminum is one of the most recycled among all disposable substrates, as it can be melted down and used again and again. Here are the pros and cons to aluminum foil as a food service substrate. Here are the pros to aluminum foil. It's perceived as a very green substrate. It's also very recyclable, ovenable, and freezer safe, easily customizable in size and shape, and it can also easily be printed. It's also very insulating. Here's the cons to aluminum foil. Foil can be very expensive, it bends and dents quite easily, and foil is not typically microwavable unless it's coated. Here are the best food applications for aluminum foil. Foil is great in cold food applications, freezer applications, warm food, or even really hot food. Very insulating substrate. The last thing we will cover today is a summary of all the different food service substrates and how they react to heat, refrigeration, and freezer food applications. On this grid, you will see that each category of food service disposable substrates is listed here under different food storage and prep environments. Under each column, there is a category name: freezer, oven, and microwave, with a substrate name listed under each category. Next to the substrate name is a yes or a no as to whether or not the substrate can withstand each environment. Well, that was a lot of information. However, I hope that you can use some or perhaps all of it to help you make informed substrate decisions about your own food service disposable packaging. If you want to dive deeper into each substrate, then simply click on the link below to download our Nexus Food Service Disposables Environmental Product Guide. I'm Chris Matson, and thanks for watching another edition of Nexus-Now.